You've been told staying late proves you're serious about your career. It doesn't. Research shows working past a certain point doesn't build your future. It quietly dismantles it, one exhausted hour at a time. There's a story most of us grew up with. Work hard, stay late, sacrifice now, and eventually, it pays off. Your boss notices. You get promoted. You build a reputation as someone who goes above and beyond. It sounds logical. It feels noble. And it is almost completely wrong. Here's where the story actually came from. The idea that long hours equal success was built during the Industrial Revolution, when factories needed workers on floors for as many hours as possible. More hours on the machine meant more output. Simple math. But you don't work in a factory. You work with your brain, and the brain does not follow factory math. A machine can run at full capacity for 12 hours. Your brain cannot, and yet somehow the factory mindset survived into the modern workplace. It got dressed up in office clothes. It got rebranded as hustle culture. It got glorified on LinkedIn by people posting about 5 a.m. wake-ups and 80-hour weeks as though suffering is the same thing as success. It isn't, and the data has been screaming this for decades. We just weren't listening. Let's talk about what actually happens when you work too many hours. Not what it feels like, what it does. Research shows that employees working over 60 hours a week see a 25% drop in productivity. Not a small dip, 25%. And here's the part that makes it worse. The drop begins even earlier. Diminishing returns kick in after just 50 hours a week, meaning that extra hour you put in on Thursday night, you are producing less output per hour than you were at 9 a.m. on Monday. You're not working more. You're just working longer. There's a concept in economics called diminishing marginal returns. The idea is simple. Beyond a certain point, each additional unit of input produces less and less output, and eventually it produces nothing at all. Your brain is not exempt from this law. A 2025 study found that exhaustion is a measurable predictor of performance decline, not a feeling, a measurement. Burned out employees show presenteeism rates 4.7 times higher than their non-burned out colleagues. Presenteeism being physically at work but mentally completely checked out, sitting at your desk, staring at the screen, producing almost nothing. That is what overtime looks like from the inside. After a few months of doing it consistently, you feel like you're working. The hours say you're working, but the output tells a different story. Here's where it gets specific to your career. And this is the part most people never figure out until it's too late. When you consistently work overtime, you train your employer to expect it for free. Think about that. You come in early. You stay late. You answer emails at 10 p.m. You work weekends when things get busy. And after a few months of this, it stops being going above and beyond. It becomes the baseline. It becomes what's expected of you. Now you're not getting credit for extra effort. You're just meeting the standard you accidentally set for yourself. And here's the trap inside the trap. The people most likely to get promoted are not always the ones working the most hours. They're the ones producing the most visible results. There's a difference. Results are what you produce. Hours are what you spend. A person who works 45 hours a week and delivers 3 high-impact projects is more promotable than a person who works 65 hours a week and delivers the same 3 projects plus a lot of visible busyness. Because leadership doesn't promote people who are great at working hard. Leadership promotes people who are great at getting things done. And chronic overtime workers, buried under emails, meetings, and exhaustion, rarely have the mental clarity to identify what actually matters. They're too busy being busy. Now let's talk about something that goes beyond careers. Because working overtime isn't just killing your growth. According to a landmark study by the World Health Organization and the ILO, it is literally killing people. 745,000 people died in a single year from stroke and heart disease, directly linked to working 55 or more hours a week. Not 80 hours, not 100 hours, 55. That is barely more than 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. The same study found that working 55 or more hours per week is associated with a 35% higher risk of stroke and a 17% higher risk of dying from heart disease compared to working a standard 35 to 40 hour week. And between 2000 and 2016, deaths from heart disease linked to overwork increased by 42%. Not because people suddenly became weaker, because the hours got longer, the emails never stopped, the boundary between work and life quietly disappeared, and burnout has now reached an all-time high of 76% globally, costing businesses $322 billion annually in lost productivity. That number, $322 billion, is what overwork costs, not what it produces, what it destroys. Here's something interesting happening right now. The youngest generation in the workforce, Gen Z, is being called lazy for not working overtime. But look more carefully at what they're actually doing. Gen Z is focused on sustainable, high-quality performance that fits in their personal life, not nonstop hustle. Rather than overworking, they use technology to streamline tasks and boost efficiency, automation tools, digital collaboration platforms, and AI integration, achieving better outcomes with less wasted time. They're not working less. They're working smarter, and the results are showing. Workers aged 18 to 24 average more than 8 hours of unpaid overtime a week, an hour more than workers aged 45 to 54. So even within Gen Z, the ones doing unpaid overtime are not the ones pulling ahead. The ones pulling ahead are the ones who figured out that output matters more than hours. That boundaries protect performance. That rest is not laziness, it's maintenance. Your brain is the most important tool you have, and you would never run any other tool at maximum capacity, 24 hours a day, without maintenance, and expect it to keep performing. Your brain is no different. So what do you actually do with this? Because the answer is not stop working hard. The answer is stop confusing hours with results. Here's what the research points to. First, track your output, not your time. At the end of every week is ask yourself one question, not how many hours did I work, but what did I actually produce that mattered? If the answer is thin, more hours will not fix it. A clearer priority list will. Second, protect your recovery. Workers who never fully disconnect accumulate a sleep and recovery debt that compounds week over week. The weekend is not a reward for surviving the week. It is the maintenance window that makes next week possible. Treat it that way. Third, make your results visible. This is the career move most overtime workers miss entirely. If you are doing great work, your manager needs to know about it, not in an annoying way, in a clear, professional way. A short weekly update, a well-framed email about a win, a project summary that shows impact. Visibility is a skill, and it matters more to your career than the hours you log. Fourth, set a hard stop time, not a I'll try to leave by 7 soft boundary, a hard stop. Work ends at this time. The laptop closes, the notifications go silent, and watch what happens to your focus during actual work hours when you know the clock is real. Parkinson's law says work expands to fill the time available. Give yourself unlimited time and the work never ends. Give yourself a deadline and suddenly the important things get done. Here's the real cost of overtime. It's not just the hours. It's not just the health. It's the version of yourself that never gets built because you were too exhausted to develop new skills, too burned out to think strategically, too buried in busy work to notice the opportunities sitting right in front of you. The people who build remarkable careers are almost never the ones who work the most hours. They're the ones who worked on the right things with enough energy to actually do them well. More hours is the easy answer. Better work is the harder one. And harder answers are always the ones that actually work. Most people will watch this, feel it, and still stay late tomorrow. Don't be that person. If something in this video made you think differently about your time, subscribe. Because the people who build real careers never stop questioning how they spend their hours. And neither should you.